Okay. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Great to see you again. The last time we saw each other was in Langkawi.
Oh, almost 5 years ago, right?
Yeah. That was our conference in Malaysia, January 2020. Everybody knows what happened in March after. And then there was a long break. Some people got stranded here and there, some in Malaysia. Anyways, Christoph, it's really nice to talk to you today. Have a seat. Who of you guys know Christoph already? Let me ask the other way around. Who doesn't? So I would say 30% not, maybe. So let me give you a quick introduction, and if you feel there's anything missing, you can add it. And actually, a fun fact, you are, I believe, one of the, or maybe even the oldest member of Citizen Circle, even though you you definitely don't show up in Slack in our chat much. You definitely are not on every event, but once in a while you're there. And I really appreciate having you because the last 9 years have been a really crazy journey for you. And I don't know if anybody of you guys saw interviews with Christoph where he tells a story, and it's always like that. It's like, oh yeah, I did this, and then I did this. But how incredible and interesting of a person he actually is only comes out if you really realize how crazy some of the things are. And Christoph, one of the most crazy things recently is definitely, let me count, traveling to Antarctica 3 times within 1 year.
Yes.
Was it? Yes. Going to zero gravity, was that this last year?
That was last year, yeah.
Okay. What other crazy things come to my mind? Crossing several land borders where other people would think I get immediately shot. Which was the most crazy land border that you ever crossed?
Well, there were a couple of. Actually, there was one here in Thailand, from Thailand to Myanmar, to the rebel areas in the north, like Mesalong, something there in the area. And we crossed into Myanmar, into some like drug, opium grower territory. Had a nice tour around there. Illegally, of course. Yeah, we had to leave our passports with the Thai border guards. There was no Myanmar state border. And then we hiked like 10 hours in the territory and came back, getting back our passports, getting back on our bikes, and driving back to Chiang Mai. So can really recommend that. And it was quite crazy, I have to add. Yeah, it was back then, I didn't travel that much. It was like 2017. It was one of the poorest villages I ever saw in my life. But it had a own 18-hole golf course for the drug lord. He wasn't there when we came, so we were lucky. Yeah.
That was a normal golf course, how you would imagine it anywhere.
Yes.
Any idea how they brought the things there?
I don't know. I can only guess.
So my first question is, what drives you to do those crazy things? What is the underlying motivation for you to do that? There's one sentence that stuck with me. People talk about the pursuit of happiness, but if you turn it around, there's happiness in pursuit. Is that part of it?
Yeah, I mean, the way is the destination, and I really like to travel. I have this born curiosity. I mean, I didn't really travel on my own until I was like 20, until well after school ended. I went 1 year to New Zealand after school for like a voluntary service. And only in that time I really started enjoying going around. And that stuck with me. And then at some point I thought about, yeah, maybe I can travel all the time. That was the time I found blogs like yours. I was still studying back then, I think in 2013, 2014. And said, oh, that's a nice lifestyle. Maybe you can do it yourself.
And the idea of visiting every country in the world, which you achieved how long ago? 2 years ago?
2 years ago, yeah.
2 years ago. When did that come up for you to take on that challenge?
My mom once sent me a book from a German guy called Kolja Spurry. He had a book called Ich war überall, I was everywhere. That guy is now a close friend of me. Back then, I read the book, and he reported about his adventures in all the conflict zones, like Yemen, Afghanistan, Syria, Chechnya, and so on. And I was quite inspired. Yeah, back then, I mean, I was in the beginning when I started my business as a backpacker, I traveled quite a lot, but rather in the cheap destinations in like Central America and Eastern Europe. And then, even if you don't really count it or do it systematically, you are at like 50, 60 countries. And then I said, oh, it's only like 140 countries missing. Let's do that. So, like around 2018, I started doing it systematically, and I really made a plan, go there, go there, go there. And I was even trying to finish every country in the world until I was 30. But then, right in that year, the Corona pandemic happened. I was still traveling through all the pandemic. I wasn't a single day in any lockdown. But of course, I couldn't travel to many new destinations. So what we did, I first spent 6 weeks in Mexico. Great, yeah. They just started all the measures 1 month later. When Mexico started, I had a plane ticket to Sweden, had a nice time there. And then we went to Croatia in summer. I bought a boat. And then for the rest of the pandemic, I sailed all the way from Croatia to Rio de Janeiro over the Atlantic, sailing away from the lockdowns. That was great.
And then once you achieved that goal, visiting every country in the world, I think you were the youngest German, if I'm correct?
It is actually younger persons, or even younger Germans. I mean, I started pretty late doing it systematically, and it's not that hard to visit all countries of the world, although there's around 500 people nowadays who have achieved that. But for me, it's not always about the countries, it was always about many other places as well. So there's like other bubbles around. For example, in the extreme travel community, there's a couple of clubs. One club distinguishes the world into 330 territories. And that's like the thing what I'm trying to achieve at the moment. I'm at like 315 or 330. And when I'm done with that in around half a year, then I will probably retire and travel a bit less.
I have a hard time believing that because you achieved the goal of visiting every country. And my question was, did you feel any emptiness? Because when you reach a goal sometimes, everybody of us knows that. What is the next thing? So now you achieved this, then now you are checking the territories. Do you think it will be a goal not travel related?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I had a long time to prepare and think about that. Yeah, my last country, I had to wait almost 6 months. That was Turkmenistan. Turkmenistan was one of the last countries to reopen the borders after the pandemic. So I couldn't go there. I had to wait to 192 or 196, depending on how you count. And I already had other ideas, other destinations in my mind. And now when I happened that, I mean, it's quite strategic. I tried to visit my last possible territory exactly in the month where I started my business 10 years ago. So we will make a big conference in Germany in 15, 16 May. It's like the anniversary of my business. It will be in near Stuttgart. And I said to myself, until then, I want to finish everything. And right after the conference, I go to Berlin because I have to pick up some kind of expedition truck I'm building. So I will continue traveling, but rather on the roads in this like luxury camper van, you can say. Also to probably places where the typical campers don't go. Yeah.
Switch the topic a bit. So some people will decide to travel like a crazy. Others will decide to build big businesses. You just decided to do both. But you often mention that you were not in it for the money, so you have other motives. But as many people experienced before, that is a good thing, because then if you have another motivation, the money follows. So you traveled and you constantly built on your business, startenlos, and then also branched out to other countries. And one thing that many people say, and even you say yourself, and that's the title of our talk, starting $1 million business from your hotel bed. So there's always the bad in the head part of the bed in the background when Skyping with you. And I remember our podcast interview where you said you are very, you're always, no matter where you go in the morning is for work and mostly from your hotel room. So you don't need co-working spaces. Would you say that's a big part of your success of keeping that constantly?
Yeah, I think a big part of my success is efficiency. Yeah, so working from bed is very efficient, I would say. Yeah, even going to your desk in the hotel room is like 10 meters, and you lose a couple of seconds. And most people lose a lot of time by commuting into the co-working space or to work or whatever. Yeah, and at that time you can be productive. And for me, it's quite hard to do all this extreme traveling. Doing work, caring for women and kids and so on. So
Is there a certain time that you start, okay, at 5 until 12, or is that flexible for you?
it's very flexible for me. Yeah, sometimes I just sleep 3-4 hours. Sometimes I sleep 10 hours. Yeah, I mean I don't have like this routine lifestyle. Every day is different. And I have a lot of like empty time because I'm sitting in the plane or in the car or in the taxi or whatever. But I can also work in that time. I mean, I know it from her. She's not able to work on her phone or do anything if she's in a car and there's like a little bit of bumpiness and so on. I can sit like 10 hours in the Algerian Sahara in a very bumpy track, and in that time I can read a couple of books and get a lot of work done on my mobile phone. Yeah, so that helps obviously.
Are Sven and Mandy here? No, because I know they can do that too. It's not everybody is able to do that, but maybe it's also training. Would you say that? And if you really want it, then
yeah, I mean it's a lot about discipline as well. Yeah, I mean you have a lot of things to do. You can do a lot of things, and you always have. I have to like dedicate every day a couple of hours of work. I don't need to work 40 hours a week. Sometimes I can even say no work at all for 1 week, digital detox. But generally, I have to do stuff, and then I have to forego other stuff. Yeah, and I think for many people it's hard to keep that discipline. Yeah,
definitely. What when I look at your success story over the last 9 years, the one thing I always find impressive is the production of blog articles, and you write very long articles. You are really, I mean, excited for the topic that you bring into the world, how to go where you treat it best, how to find places to optimize your lifestyle, avoid taxation. So would you say that's also a very important part? And is a lot of your working time actually the writing? Like, are you still writing the articles yourself? Is that, like, going back to what we had earlier with Mr. Faltin, focusing on the thing that you are passionate about?
I mean, it used to be like that. Nowadays, I don't write that much anymore. Now and then, I feel the need to write an article. Probably no one else can write, so I have to write it. But nowadays, I have a couple of team members creating content. But in the end, I will always double check the content. I will add certain things. I will delete certain things. I will publish it myself. Mm-hmm. So there's still some kind of my DNA in every article. Yeah. And it was very important in the beginning, of course. Back then, when I started, I didn't have much clients, even while my consulting was costing 50 times less than today. So I had to write. Yeah, I remember the first 6 months as part of my strategy. Every second day, I was publishing like a 4,000 word article on my blog in order to get traction. And I mean, now I really profit from that organic content strategy. Yeah, for many years, I didn't do any advertising at all. Yeah, we didn't do any ads, any advertising. It was all word of mouth and organic growth. And even only in recent years, like 2-3 years ago, I started more into like paid content. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the growth was organic, was very SEO related, and that's still a big part of the traffic for you now?
Yeah, it's still a big part of the traffic, but now we have like traffic sources from everywhere. And I think it's very important that many entrepreneurs make that mistake, that they rely too much on one particular channel of traffic, yeah? And then something changes, and then you're without clients, yeah? And I mean, that's the nice thing for me. I can really calculate. I know with doing this and that, I get that and that much clients every day, yeah? So even if I completely get out of all paid ads, I still get probably my 20, 30 clients every day. Yeah. But of course, it's also, and I mean, that's the big issue, I think, the most difficult entrepreneurial question. In the end, I'm a service provider and I have limited time, especially from what I'm doing, from my lifestyle. So it's really about how, like finding a strategy, and now I have quite a good solution for that, but I struggled a long time how to, do it as efficiently as possible while being a service provider, where you have to work to spend your time against money, basically. Yeah.
But interesting, the part of service providing, because when you look at the Startnu's website, you see online courses, but that's actually just a small part of the business, right? It's more one-on-one. It's also providing services like LLC, which is scalable. Would you say how many services?
It took a long time to find like the right product, the right service, which is also good for me, but also good for the clients. So in the beginning, I was doing the pure consulting. I mean, I started with, I think, 30 euros an hour. Now it's 3,000 euros an hour, yeah? So it just grew, and I had these limitations in my mind. Even when I was earning like 2,000 euros a month, I could already travel freely, stay in hostels, do what I want, and I thought nice. And then it was like, oh, I will never earn 5,000, I will never earn 10,000, never 20, 50, 100,000, and so on. But at some point, those limitations fell. And now, like when I reached my first million by income, yeah, not by wealth, I said I will never ever be able to double that. But actually, every year it felt much more natural, much easier to actually increase that. Yeah.
That's interesting, because many people say you have to believe in yourself to reach that, but you had the doubts and you still reached it anyways. So that's encouraging in a way. Because
yeah, basically in the last couple of years, I never wanted to increase my money anymore. I was always about efficiency, about like getting more time for myself, because I wanted to continue to travel and doing other things. Yeah. So for me, for a long time, it was very difficult to delegate work for other people. Yeah, I'm kind of perfectionist, and it was very hard for me to, get that delegated. But like 3 years ago, I started getting a proper team together. We now have around 6 full-time employees, a couple of freelancers, all working remotely. Yeah, all my team is in probably 6 different time zones now, and it's working well, very great. Yeah, I mean, I see it with many other entrepreneurs, other friends who are digital nomads. Some have a very like strict work methods with their team, like they hang together in 4 hours every day in a Zoom call. But I mean, I speak to my employees once every 6 months, maybe. Yeah, speak. Yeah, we write a lot. That's what we do.
But you guys are all on a mission together. There's something that brings you together. Can you put that in a sentence? What drives you, or can be 2 or 3?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically about freedom. Yeah, so all my team really believes in our mission to make people freer, more wealthy, bring them out of the system, and just to create a good life for them. Yeah, and we don't help people earning money. Yeah, there's many other coaches for that. But once they have a certain income or certain wealth, we can help them optimize things. And it's not only about taxes, it's about many, many other things. Yeah. So basically what we do is every aspect of your life, which you can have in other countries, we can help outsource them. Yeah. So it's about the right residency, citizenship, insurance solutions. Yeah. And over time, many people approached me and some had very good ideas. For example, 3 years ago, a friend approached me. He wanted to start like international health insurance with me. And now 3 years later, we are like the largest broker in Europe for international health insurance. And those stories happen in many other areas of business as well. So there's a lot of nice joint ventures. And I'm always happy if you're having a good idea, if you live in a certain country, if you have certain skills, certain contacts, just approach me. And many people started a good business with that. Yeah.
You bring the connection, the traffic, and bring it all in one platform, and then people.
Yes, I mean, we do mainly do the German market. That was always the biggest income driver. We have for years already an English platform. It's called denationalize.me. And we're also very successful in Spanish, in Portuguese, and French. So I tried to franchise my system into other languages, and that works very well as well. Yeah.
Did somebody ask you some day, can I franchise you or?
No, I had the idea myself, and then I was just looking for people who implement that. So my first partner, he's a German-Spanish guy. He had a translation agency, yeah? So he was the natural partner. He translated everything into Spanish and English, and I coached him a bit, so he will be able to do coachings with my clients.
Yeah. When you look at the world, and let's say there would be any reason, it doesn't matter what, and tomorrow borders are simply unable to cross forever. Just making that up. But which country that you cannot leave anymore for the rest of your life would you choose?
I mean, it's a tricky question. I could probably well survive in Antarctica. I really like Antarctica, and there are some taxes there. But probably, I have two countries in my mind. This both my two favorite countries, and they're quite similar. One is Italy in Europe. I'm a big Italy fan. And also Italy has very decent tax conditions. Yeah, many people don't know that. But until recently, you had to pay 100,000 euros a year, which is quite a lot. But if you have a certain income after this 100,000 euros in like a Pauschalsteuer, you don't pay anything. Yeah. And I would be fine paying 100,000 to Italy in order to stay there all the time. Now, unfortunately, they doubled it, but it's still okay, 200,000 euros. Yeah. The other country is Argentina. I was always a big fan of Argentina, which is also a lot of Italian, as many people know. Argentina, I bought a vineyard there 4 years ago. So every year I produce around 2,000 bottles of wine. If you come to our conference in May, you will be able to drink it for free. So I cannot drink all those wine myself. And Argentina, as many as you know, is now quite a libertarian country. Yeah? They got a crazy president with a chainsaw, cutting all the government departments, and he's having a lot of success. And I think Argentina will really turn into a paradise for entrepreneurs in the next couple of years. And for me and for us, it's quite likely that we will go into that region a bit longer in the next couple of years. Yeah.
Will there be walnuts at the conference as well for free?
Probably, yes. I just got a delivery from Georgia 2 weeks ago.
That's, if I read that correctly, your biggest investment?
Yes, I mean, over time, because of all the traveling and all the contacts, I mean, I got a lot of investment deals. Yeah, and I'm involved in cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin basically since it started, since 2011. I was always into that space, made quite a good lot of money with it, but never hold it long term, but reinvested it often in other projects. So like the first big thing I invested was this walnut plantation in Georgia. We started that 9 years ago. And now we have like the biggest walnut orchard in all the country, probably soon all over Europe. And that's basically my retirement guarantee, so to speak. Yeah. And over time, I got much more into all these company shares. So basically, I would say 95% of my wealth is in company shares, non-listed, so it's not stocks. It's all private equity or venture capital. And I plan to focus on that more in future. I really like, and now I'm quite an entrepreneur. I really like it. I'm really into efficiency. So I like to invest in companies and see them grow. And maybe I'm invested into the next Facebook or whatever. Yeah.
One question about Europe, because you mentioned Italy and this flat taxation, basically, asking for a friend. Isn't that also in Ireland the case?
Ireland is even better. In Ireland, you don't have to pay any tax at all if you structure yourself property. Just go to Ireland, have your income outside of Ireland, and you can be tax-free. And I mean, there's a lot of other countries like that in Europe. Many people don't know. Even popular countries like Spain, if you know how to do it, you can live 6 years without any taxes in Spain. You can live 10 years without any taxes in Portugal. You can do it forever in Cyprus and Malta, in Italy and Greece. There's so many nice options just in Europe. You don't need to go to Thailand or to Panama or whatever, yeah.
But then there's still other good reasons to go to Thailand and Panama. It's both beautiful places. So we are in Thailand, and we also have guests from Thailand and also guests from around the world who live in Thailand. So my question is, do you know any interesting opportunities that we should be aware in Thailand, or we can also say in the neighboring countries? Anything that you have in mind that is going on here right now that you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, Thailand is very popular for a long time, and many people don't know about this as well. Thailand is basically a tax haven, at least for non-Thai people. Sorry, guys. You basically don't pay tax on foreign income here. It was changed last year that you basically all the money you bring into Thailand has to be taxed. So that's a change, which is not that difficult to like circumvent, I would say. However, the Thai government currently is maybe planning to introduce worldwide taxation. Yeah, there was a lot of discussions going on last year. I think it's still not fully finalized. If that comes, I don't think it will come. But if that comes, Thailand will get much more unattractive. At least if you live here more than half a year. Yeah, that's always the thing. What people need to understand. You can live in basically every country in the world less than 6 months. Yeah, without being liable to taxes. There are some countries. I just had this discussion with someone outside before this talk. For example, Mexico. In Mexico, you can even live full time without any times triggering any taxation. Yeah, so you really need to get deep into the rules, and then you can really use that for your purpose. And I mean, you said that I'm traveling a lot. I'm often only like 3, 4, 5 days in a place. It will take a long time until I get to the point that I will spend more than half a year in a place. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's always what I'm saying to my clients. Yeah, you should emigrate without immigrating. Yeah, so being outside the system, that's basically what my company name Staatenlos, stateless, points to. Yeah, it's rather named rather for something like without residence, wohnsitzlos, or I would say free of the system. Yeah, you don't have any tax residencies. You maybe have residency permits or even a second citizenship. Yeah, I just bought a citizenship from Vanuatu, so I'm not only German anymore. I'm also Vanuatu citizen now, if you know where that is. Who knows where Vanuatu is? A couple of people at least, yeah.
That's also an interesting strategy for, let's say, people who don't have a strong passport but still want to have more freedom. So for them, the solution would be achieve the wealth to buy a Vanuatu citizenship. Or
I mean, it's not terribly expensive, and you can buy it in Bitcoin. Yeah, so it's around 100K effectively. And for like Thais who want more travel freedom, it's not optimal because it actually has less. But for me as a German, which is a bit critic of government, yeah, I want to have a certain security. For example, Germany could get more totalitarian and cancel my passport. And if I have only the German passport, I can't travel anymore. So for me, it's like a big relief that I'm now having a second passport, a second citizenship. So sanctioning me over like denying me a passport isn't working anymore. For Thais, there's other solutions. Yeah, for example, if people want to live full time in Europe, you don't need to be a EU citizen. There's so-called golden visas. Yeah, for already like 50,000 euros investment, you can get a full-time permanent residency in Europe as a non-EU citizen, and then live everywhere in Europe as you want to. Yeah.
Where in Europe is this the cheapest?
There's good options in Latvia, like 50,000 investment, Malta, Greece. In many countries, you just need to buy a property, and then you can either live there or in any other Schengen countries. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Last question before I give it to the audience. You mentioned Antarctica. So you've been on cruises nearby, but now recently you were on the land, basically, in a camp. What fascinates you there? And is it also, I'm not 100% familiar, you probably know more, it doesn't belong to anyone?
Yeah, I mean, and there's this Antarctic Treaty, and currently Antarctica is claimed by 6 countries. Yeah, Argentina, Chile, New Zealand, Australia, UK, and what else we have? Norway and France. So actually 7. And that's also a goal of me to go like to all the 7 sectors. I did that 2 years ago. Quite nice. I did all those 7 sectors in 1 minute. How did I do it? I was flying to the South Pole, and I just went in a circle around the South Pole, and that way I did all the 7 countries. Obviously, that didn't count for me. I tried to go also for several weeks into all those territories. I did a couple of Antarctic cruises. I booked a couple of new ones for next year. And yeah, I really like it there. The first time I went was in 2018. Yeah, it was after I made certain money, was my goal to go there and to see how it is. Back then I shared like a cabin with 3 other guys. It costed like 8,000 euros. I had to share a cabin with 2 other guys for like 2 weeks. We didn't have any internet back then. Starlink wasn't invented. So basically 2 weeks without internet, which is quite damaging. It's possible for me and business, but it was quite damaging back then. But still, I really enjoyed it, and I always had the longing to go back. Yeah, it's just fascinating. Many people just think it's like a frozen expanse of ice and white and nothing, but there's so much life there. I even made a hobby of not visiting all countries, but getting to see every penguin species in the world. There's 19 penguin species, and I've seen all of them.
Wow. One picture stuck with me was you on the cruise with some Antarctic landmass in the back and a nice fireplace working on the laptop. That looked really cozy.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this is like quite a relief to go on cruises. Yeah, when I'm more than 1 week in a place, or even 2 or 3 weeks in a place over the last 10 years, it's basically a cruise. Yeah, so you move from place to place, but at least you don't have to pack your luggage anymore. You can just stay in your cabin. And usually during cruising, especially now with Starlink and other satellite solutions working quite well, it's probably the most productive time each year when I'm doing cruises. Yeah, you're still doing stuff every day, a couple of hours, you're out in Antarctica, but the rest of the time, yeah, I'm mostly reading or working. Yeah?
I really hope for you that within the next 50 years they're going to have space cruises. That would be nice to continue the travel to other places.
I mean, there's still so many places open in the world. Yeah? I mean, what I basically do now when I do a bit more slowly, last year I had like 136 flights, so quite a lot. Next year, or this year actually, I will probably be even less than half of it, because I will do more things like in a car, driving myself. I still have my boat lying around in Colombia, so maybe a bit more sailing, spending a bit more time with other people in certain places. So, but the world is still, like, there's so many places to see. Yeah.
With that, I give the questions to the audience. Please.
Yeah, I was just wondering for some advice. So I'm kind of starting out more or less on my entrepreneurial journey, and my goal is the 4-hour work week. I'm sure some people have that intention as well, to work as little as possible. I guess my question is, what advice would you give to someone in my position who's currently starting with very little wealth or capital or property, how to get into that 4-hour work week as soon as possible without having a lot of resources to be honest.
Well, let me put it straight. I think it's not advisable to have a 4-hour work week. I read the book as well, like 15 years ago. Like when I was a student, I was actually studying basically the opposite of what I'm doing now. I was studying administration science, government science, politics. And I had the idea to achieve this as well. But I would say more realistic is a 4-hour work day. That's basically what I'm doing, working around 4 hours a day. But because if you have a 4-hour work week, it gets very boring after some point. And you need really, yeah, I mean, I cannot lie more than 1 hour at the beach. Yeah, I'm visiting so much islands at the moment, so much remote territories, that I started diving in order to not be bored too much on these islands. Yeah, so diving is a great hobby, very relaxing. When I started, I mean, I had the same situation as you. 10 years ago, I started out of university. Yeah, I was just delivering my bachelor thesis. The day after, I was deregistering of Germany, and I booked a one-way ticket to Mexico. I only had like 1,500 euros on the bank account. That was everything. Yeah, no other security, no income at all at that moment, no other money. And I knew myself, now I could live like 2 months very cheaply in Mexico, and then I had to earn money. And I think it really makes sense, especially if you are single and you don't have to care for kids and so on, that you really bring yourself into the situation that you have to do something, yeah? That you are needing to earn money, or otherwise you get back to Germany or wherever as a failure, yeah? And that really motivated me, and I'm still using that. I mean, you asked the question in the beginning. I'm still, I would say, motivated by money, but not so much by having a lot of money, rather by having no money at all. So it's quite a trick I'm doing. Basically, at the end of each month, I have no money on the bank account, yeah? So basically, that's also kind of my investment strategy. All my wealth is in completely illiquid company shares, which I can't really cash out and which won't bring me money unless I wait 10 years until the good dividends flow. Yeah. So I always have to work, even now if I have a lot of wealth and a lot of income, it makes me work because otherwise I cannot pay my bills. And all this lifestyle isn't that inexpensive. Yeah.
That's a really cool strategy, honestly. Thanks for sharing. In the back, please.
Last year, the Solomon Islands planned to launch the citizenship by investment. Are there some breaking news for this year? Or?
They still didn't like properly implement it. You cannot obtain it at the moment. Solomon Islands is interesting because they still have Schengen access. They even have access to Canada and so on. So it's not that a bad passport, but currently they didn't. There's another Pacific country, Nauru, who now started a program, but it's not that attractive in my eyes. I did Vanuatu for certain reasons. Yeah, Vanuatu, maybe, why did I purchase the citizenship of that remote island country? Yeah, for one, it counts as the happiest country in the world, really, and all the rankings, happiness ranking is #1. So now I'm a very happy person by having a Vanuatu passport. No, in the end, it's about like this personal security. And actually, Vanuatu was big in the press, in the headlines the last years. They got their Schengen access, their EU access withdrawn. So the European Union said, you're not following our rules, so you cannot go to EU without a visa anymore. Yeah, but I like that. Yeah, that shows me this country doesn't cooperate. This country fucks what the European Union is telling them. So I said, oh great, I'm getting that citizenship because then I'm safe from those countries in the future. Yeah.
Yes, please. Maybe in the back first, and then.
Short question. I have a U.S. citizenship. Am I able to live tax-free?
It's a complicated question. Yes, you are. You are even without renouncing. Actually, the current government, new government in the US is planning to maybe waive that. It's unlikely it gets through, but there's already a bill in discussion to waive these like worldwide taxation things. I mean, there are certain strategies as a US citizen without renouncing. Of course, some people decide I don't want to be American anymore. I just get another citizenship, and yeah, that's it. And you can do everything. But even as an American citizen, there are certain strategies. For one, you have certain free amounts, even especially if you don't make that much money, if you're just a freelancer or so, like the first around 110, 20,000, you generally can do tax-free. There's certain exemptions for that. Then you can move to Puerto Rico. Yeah, Puerto Rico, the 51st state in the US, is very good for taxes. Many people move there for taxes. Many rich people have certain strategies. Yeah, you need to spend 5 months in Puerto Rico, and they often just touch down with their private jet for 1 minute. That counts as a day, and then they fly somewhere else. So it has sometimes quite weird backgrounds in this world of tax optimization. Yeah.
There was another question over there.
Yeah, you talked about Thailand before and the new tax situation. And at my understanding, you have to pay taxes when you put money in a Thai bank account, right?
Well, technically, you have to pay even taxes when you bring the money in cash to Thailand, or if you go on the ATM and withdraw cash with your Visa card from Germany, you still have to pay taxes on that officially. In the end, official and unofficial is a difference, and there's always strategies to avoid certain things, especially if you like give yourself a loan and things like that. But technically, yes, but not only the bank account. Basically, every withdrawal of money within Thailand. Yeah.
On the other side, some questions?
And I mean, that's the same system which is available in many European countries. Yeah, it's the typical non-dom system. It's the same what Tim mentioned, Ireland, or what we have in Malta. It's the same system. You basically have to pay taxes on your living costs in the country, but everything which you use in other countries by traveling or by investing will be tax-free.
Eva.
So where does your aversion against taxes come from? And do you think there's any, isn't there any moral obligation?
I think it's completely the opposite. There's a moral obligation to not pay any taxes because taxes are theft, taxes are robbery, taxes are violence and force. And in my lifestyle, I don't want to adhere to these principles of violence and force.
What about using infrastructure and using all this infrastructure of all these countries?
Well, for one, I pay taxes. Probably I pay more taxes than many people in this room, but I pay indirect taxes, I pay taxes for the things I'm actually using. Value-added taxes, consumption taxes, and so on and so on. By flying 136 times last year, I probably paid a couple of 10,000 euros of taxes. Because most people don't know, everything we buy, there's not only one tax, there's often 10 taxes on it. So I don't have a bad mind in regards to that. And then in the end, I mean, you don't need that much taxes to have a properly functioning system. You don't need to tax the population 60, 70%. Look to certain neighboring countries like Singapore. They have taxes, but around 10, 15% maximum. And they still have a very high class, well-developed infrastructural society. In the end, I don't believe you don't need governments at all. So to elaborate, in my studies in the first semester 15 years ago, I got libertarian. I was developing into an anarcho-capitalist. That's what I'm believing in. I think we don't need governments at all. We can create societies cooperating peacefully together without the force of governments.
There's also one question I actually wanted to ask you earlier and didn't remember it, which is you have controversial opinions, but you don't dare to speak them out. And that's something when you get like famous in a way, especially in the online world, you want to be polarizing. Then you have people who love you and people who really hate you. But then you need to be able to deal with that. What makes you be able to deal with that?
I think this is like many facets. Like when I was like a kid, when I was going to school, I was like a typical gamer. I was going to school, and the rest of the time, 100 hours a week, I played computer games. And during that time, I was very good in certain like online role-play games. And at some point, I said to myself, Christoph, now you achieved that like virtually. Maybe it's possible to do it in the real life. And that really motivated me. And then I already faced a lot of opposition during university. I was creating these libertarian groups at university quite successfully. I was studying in Constance, Swiss border, Germany. And basically the leftist groups at university wanted to ban us, wanted to withdraw rooms for us and so on for a long time, saying we were neo-Nazi. So if you know a bit about the world, libertarian is completely opposite of National Socialism. But of course, you have that at German universities. And already back then, I was getting quite actually motivated by it. I actually quite like it, people criticizing me, people getting into conflict with me. I really enjoyed it, I really enjoyed fighting back, So for me, it was always natural to be provocative, to be polarizing, and that's what we still do in our marketing. Last year we did a campaign, already 30 people participated. Everyone who leaves the German government service gets a free company from us. And already 30 people quit their positions at police, at teachers, in the local government, and so on. We have many more things like that.
Yes, please.
Being a libertarian and an investor, I was wondering what investment opportunities you might see in Argentina right now with that sweeping change of government, that is political 180-degree turn, which they did over the past 1.5 years since Milei is in office. I'm thinking about it. I'm wondering what ideas you have to profit from the probable rise of Argentina back to being an industrial country again.
I mean, it's still not too late to join. It was even better to do it 2 years ago. But it's still interesting. Argentina had the most successful stock market in the last 12 months, and it will still go up in the next couple of years. I'm currently Like some of my private equity focus is into resources. Like I'm participating as a shareholder in different mines, and we're having some copper projects in Argentina. So this like energy and resource, which Argentina has a lot from, will be very strong in future. But I think every company will profit from that. And if you invest into local companies, startups, whatever, if you invest in real estate, basically investing in everything will probably bring you good returns. Yeah.
Any more questions? Yes, please.
Is your family traveling with you all the time, or do they stay somewhere?
So like the last 3 years, I'm together with this beautiful lady here. And of course, especially since she's not alone, she has an 8-year-old son, it makes things quite tricky. So we had to think that out quite cleverly. So in the end, I have a base now, so to speak. We have an apartment in Dubai, I'm returning to now and then. Her son goes to school in Dubai, but is traveling with us now and then. The nice thing about Dubai, there's not like a real obligation to go to school. We sometimes extend the holidays 1 or 2 weeks. So around 3 to 4 months, I would say, we're traveling together as a family. For around another 4 months, she's traveling with me. And the son is in Dubai with grandparents, with the real dad, with whomever. And for around another 4 months, I'm traveling alone or with good friends. Like last week, I was not with her. I was with a good friend in Indonesia diving. Sometimes I invite my parents. Yeah, last year I've spent 1 month with my mom, 1 month with my dad. And sometimes I'm really happy when I'm alone, because that's a time where I actually can get some stuff done. Yeah.
We have time for 1 or 2 more questions. Yes, please, Frank.
I would like to follow up on Lane's question. You said you're paying services and taxes like they do in Texas, which everyone pays for price stuff. I'm not a tax expert, but for what I understand, the majority of taxes in the world comes from income. Please correct me if that's what I'm asking you. Is it for you more the concept of how the taxes are distributed? So if they would say, we take away income taxes, we take away alcohol taxes, there's just one, then you add taxes, and that's it, would you find that? Or do you say, we don't need that at all, and then how would structure infrastructure work? Because you say, like, you use infrastructure, you pay for it, but for example, for streets that are maybe paid with income taxes, you would not pay if you would pay that.
I mean, in most countries, streets are paid by tolls. Yeah, you have to pay a toll. Not in Germany, so many Germans don't know that concept. But in many other, even European countries, you pay quite hefty tolls in order to use streets. And that's normally enough to finance those streets. Yeah, you see in Germany, there's no toll, and the streets are deteriorating. Yeah? So I think everything can be financed privately. Yeah, even government services, even security like police. Yeah, there's a couple of concepts where I'm also shareholder of, like putting venture capital in. Maybe you heard about free cities. There's already one free city in Honduras, in Roatan, island of Roatan. It's a very interesting concept, because what does it mean having a private city? Yeah, basically everything is regulated by contracts. Yeah, for example, in Germany, you pay a lot of taxes for police, for security. But when something happens in Germany, and there's a lot of robberies and a lot of other things happening to Germans right now, you cannot just go to the police and say, oh, you didn't protect me, I want my money back. You can't do that. In a free private city, you can do that. You have a contract with a service provider guaranteeing you 100% security. And if your security isn't provided, you can get your money back. That's the concept of a free private city. And this concept of free market applies to many other things as well. And this concept currently is in Honduras, because that's like it's a failed state, it's a failed government. Yeah, Germany will be a failed state in 10, 20 years as well, I think. But still, at the moment, it's okay to live. But in Honduras, people really want security. Yeah? They either go the long way, the long march to the US, or they stay in Honduras and move to these free cities, because there they can go out at night freely without being killed. Yeah? So there's really a demand for the services there. It's a very interesting concept. It's a pioneering concept. It's not perfect, because governments need to allow it, need to participate. But that's something I'm doing as well. So basically, my mission is to create parallel structures to the existing system, I would say. I was studying political science. I was doing internships in the German Bundestag in Brussels with the European Union. And I really saw how failed and how corrupt the system is. And I always wanted to spread these ideas, and I'm doing that right now. But the essential thing is spreading solutions. So we do this flag theory, the strategy, which everyone can use to live more freely by outsourcing his life aspect to several countries. And there's other parallel structures like this free private city concept. Or for example, there's a group trying to build swimming platforms in the oceans of this world. There was actually a project in Thailand back then, like 6 years ago. I was in Phuket. I wanted to invest in the swimming platforms outside of the 12-mile zone. They had one set up. Maybe some of you know the story. They were actually busted by the Thailand military. And those people setting up just narrowly escaped by sailing boat to Malaysia. And also, of course, that's why I'm focused a lot into the crypto world, because there's also a parallel system of money to like the corrupt central banking system we have in our daily lives, basically everywhere in the world.
Last short question and short answer, please. Please.
Do you have a kind of a vision to reorganize our world without governments? If you have a question from the UNO to give an alternative concept?
I really would like to achieve that, and that's what I'm fighting for. And there's an increasing number of people doing that as well. I mean, you really see it now in the world. Countries like, even big countries like Argentina, turn libertarian. In Germany, that probably won't happen because the demographic isn't right. But in Argentina, there's much younger people. There's much more motivated people having endured much more bullshit. Most Germans will only experience in the next couple of years. So I think there will be a big movement, and I don't think this current world order will continue as it is. And I'm really going probably more into that direction in future. Now where I have the income and wealth, I can work more on all those parallel structures.
Thank you very much. Nobody of us knows the future, but at least we have some ideas if it turns in that direction, what we can expect or how we can think about it. And one thing I want to wrap up is that even though you always say you are against that, but there's also a lot of things that you are for, but that doesn't sell so well. But from what I take out now, it's not about, for example, just to grab that example, it's not about not financing roads, but about a different system of achieving that for you.
Definitely. It's about another system, a system which is outlined theoretically in very much detail. If you want any book recommendations, I'm happy to give to you. This libertarian world is very unique because normally you never hear about it. I came into it very randomly, basically by having to present the wrong guy in my first uni semester seminar. It was Friedrich August von Hayek, Austrian Nobel Prize economist. And until that point, I never had any ideas because you are not taught in schools, in government schools for obvious reasons. And you're not taught in most universities for obvious reasons. But when I got into it, really everything came together and it made sense. And I didn't only read ideological stuff. In university, in 1 year, I read like 100 books from like self-help literature, psychology, history, biographies, and so on and so on. And it all came together for me. It made sense. And many more people are getting into these topics, and for them it made sense. And you really get another understanding of the world, a complete different understanding of economics, of living together, if you know about those topics. And it really helps you immensely as an entrepreneur as well. Most people having companies, they don't know how economics work. Even if they studied in universities, 95% of what you learn in economics at university is complete bullshit, yeah?
Thank you very much. And you're still here? You're still here with us?
I'm still here all the day and tomorrow as well, so feel free to approach me. Yeah?